and welcome to RC Galaxy Reviews. Today I bring you a new review of this Redcat Ascent 18. Now the Redcat Ascent might be the best priced mini crawler on the RC market right now, and in this review we'll be finding out if it is as good as many people say. And I'll be telling you about the exterior, we'll be looking under the body, we'll take it for a drive on my off-road course, and then I'll give it Markus's mark, so let's get into it. Let's first talk about pricing, and the Redcat Ascent 18 has a price tag of $129 US. Now, a couple weeks ago it was $119 US, but because of tariffs, the vehicle's price has gone a little bit up. Now for exterior colors, we have this metallic red, which I have right here. There's a metallic blue, a metallic silver, and a hot pink. Before we look at the exterior, this vehicle is fully ready to run, and it comes with a battery, which is nice to see on such an affordable RC car. Now for exterior, you can see we have these lights, but they are stickers and they do not work. Here we have some numbers that I put on. The car does come with quite a lot of decals, which is nice. You can see down the side, this is a body that whenever I flip it over, you can see that there's a little white area, and that's because the body bent a little bit, probably when I flipped the vehicle over. There is no cabin inside or cockpit. These tires are relatively big. We have this white design, which is pretty cool to see, and of course a truck bed right here. And then come around to the rear, and we have the taillights, which do not work, Redcat right there. And you can see on the bed I did put the Redcat sticker. So a very simple overall design, not much other than the body. And now let's take a look at the underbody. Now to turn the vehicle on, we're just going to flip the car over. There is this plastic tab that you want to make sure is aligned. And one of my other Ascent 18s, actually the tab broke. So that's just something to note. You just want to push that down. And then there's this little latch not little latch, the body is kind of in here. So you just want to push it forward and the body comes off. Very similar system to the HPI Venture 18 I recently reviewed, and really easy setup overall. Once the body's off, you can see a really simple setup. We have our motor right there. We have plastic gears, our 750 milliamp 7.4 volt 2S LiPo battery, and our ESC. Now to power the vehicle on, you push these two plugs right together. The controller goes to on, and then there's this black button that you want to push. The LED light turns red, and you are ready to go. And I'm just going to put that body back on, and we'll flip it over. You can see that we have portal axles, which is really good, and we have amazing approach and departure angles, which again you'll see in the driving footage. Here we have the drive shafts, which are plastic, and so are the links, which do add to the very low price. And then our servo is right up there. Pretty strong servo overall actually, and the steering angle is really impressive. Let's talk about the transmitter. So I've seen this on many RC crawlers and bashers actually, and this car calls for 4 AA batteries. Here we have the steering so that it can be the opposite way, and so can the throttle. For example, usually when you turn it this way, it will turn left, but in this case it's turning right, and so for the throttle. Here we have our steering trim, which makes sure that the alignment is good. The throttle trim, and this is a very cool feature because you can, for example, I'm not touching anything and the car is moving by itself, and then if you're crawling and you want a little bit more and then let go, it will just keep a consistent speed, which is very nice. Here we have our steering drive, and that adjusts how strong the steering is, the angle. So if you turn it down, you can see that it's going a lot down, and now it's not much steering angle. So quite a lot of adjustments that we have. We have the bind button right there, and this transmitter is very easy to use and good for my hands. Okay, now let's take a look at the suspension, tires, and more. Let's quickly talk about the tires. So they're very nice and squishy, but the wheels and tires are glued together. So if you wanted to change one of the components, you'd have to change the whole entire wheel package. The suspension there's oil-filled shocks, and it's very nicely damped. There is no sagging, and the flex is really, really good. Because the body is not realistic, the flex is really good, and there's a lot of room for articulation when crawling. And the slow crawl, let's see. So it's actually really good. Not exactly brushless good, but for a brushed motor, it's really impressive, and especially for the price. And full speed is also pretty good. For minor trailing, it does a good job, but if you really were doing quite a lot of trailing, I would recommend the HPI Venture 18. Now for the drag brake, it's actually very smooth, and you can adjust it quite well because of the good slow crawl that the car has, and it's very controllable. And the approach and departure angles, because of the not realistic body, the approach and departure angles are really impressive, as I'll demonstrate right now. Driving over this, it's very easy, and also the ground clearance is really good. Now let's see how it does on the side hill. This is it has a very wide stance, so it should be pretty planted, and as you can see, it is. And coming on this little articulation area, we'll see if we can keep a consistent speed. We kind of got stuck there, but let's try one more time. Very nice. Now I hope you do enjoy the driving footage, and I'll see you back for Markus's marks. really good test of how the tires are and the ground clearance. This is a side hill test. And because the Ascent 18 is very well planted, it passes. A 48 degrees ascent with the Redcat Ascent 18. You can see that it's slipping, but the Ascent 18 passes. And this is 50 degrees. This is definitely the max limit, and you can see that the Ascent 18 fails. A 50 degrees descent. And it is a little bit fast, but the Redcat Ascent 18 passes. We are back from Markus's Marks. I hope you enjoyed the driving footage, and now let's get into it. For exterior design, the Redcat Ascent 18 gets a score of 7 out of 10. Now, it's definitely not realistic, and adding a cockpit and some real working lights would really benefit the car, and also maybe making the car a little bit more proportioned. But personally, I do like the front stickers, and I think that they do look pretty good, and that's why it gets a 7 out of 10. Adding the cockpit would add a little bit of weight to the body, and right now, because it's all plastic, it's almost like driving the vehicle without any body. Now for the chassis design, it gets a score of 9 out of 10 because it's very simple and well laid out, really easy to modify on, which I really appreciate. For the crawling capability, it gets a score of 9.5 out of 10 because it is a really good performer. The articulation is really impressive, the slow crawl is really good, and it's really nice to drive overall. For the value score, it gets a score of 10 out of 10. Now I wish I could give this vehicle even more because the value is out of this world. This, in my opinion, is the best valued RC mini crawler on the market. $129 US is an absolute steal, and I think that Redcat did a great job for such a low price. And my personal score, it's the score of 9.5 out of 10 because I think Redcat did almost everything right on this vehicle. The body is not really realistic, but that does add to the amazing flex that the car has. The motor is pretty good, and it does really good on rocks, and that is mostly due to the suspension. It has amazing approach and departure angles, and the portal axles really do benefit the vehicle. There are only 2 mods I would do to this car, and they are adding some weight and brass and some metal components. But other than that, this car is competition ready in my opinion, and I think Redcat absolutely nailed it with this vehicle. There's only one really close competitor to this vehicle, and that is the HPI Venture 18, which also really impressed me, which I reviewed. That was my last video. And I really hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe, and share my content. And I'll see you in the next episode of RC Galaxy Reviews.